Johanna Hamlin. Today we're going to be preparing my easy banana pudding. So if you've been invited to that last minute cookout and you want to bring dessert but you don't want to spend a whole lot of time making it, then this is the recipe for you. It is going to use instant pudding, and make sure you get instant pudding and not cook and serve. Heavy cream, sugar, and vanilla wafers. So we're going to start by taking 2 cups of cold milk. I'm going to add that to my bowl. Then I'm going to take my instant pudding, and this is 6.5 cups of instant pudding. And I'm just going to open that up. Ooh. And we're going to sprinkle it right on top of our very cold milk. Then we're just going to take a whisk, and I'm just going to whisk this until all of that instant pudding has dissolved. And we're going to whisk it for about 1 minute to 2 minutes until it starts to thicken. So now my pudding is all dissolved, and I'm going to let this sit, and it's just going to thicken up. I'm going to make sure I get all my milk in there. So while this is thickening up, I'm going to make my own whipped cream. So I'm going to set this back there. And whipped cream is just made with heavy cream and sugar. So most people will use whipped topping, and that's a frozen, and it's just not, I call it fake whipped cream. It's just not real whipped cream. So it's real simple and easy to make your own whipped cream. It's just heavy whipping cream. So I'm going to take 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. And I'm going to add sugar. You could use powdered sugar or granulated sugar. I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, and I'm just going to mix this, pour it right in. And then we're going to add some vanilla for flavoring. So I'm going to throw in my vanilla for flavoring, and I'm just going to whip this until it gets really nice and frothy. It's real simple and real easy to make, and it's gonna be so delicious. So I'm gonna slowly bring my mixer up to high. You don't wanna start on high, or cream is just gonna fly everywhere. So I'm gonna slowly bring it up to high as it gets thicker. As you see, it's starting to splash already. It can really get out of hand. But as it gets thicker, I'm gonna go all the way up to my highest setting on your hand mixer, or you can do this in a stand mixer. You can even do it by hand if you want to work your arm muscles. It's gonna take you a while if you do it by hand. So it's starting to get thicker. I'm gonna go ahead and just turn it up. Look at this. I love fresh made cream. Whipped cream, I'll whip some up, put it on top of my coffee in the morning. Look at that. Just that quick, coming together. So I'm gonna whip this till it's about medium peaks. And there we go. That's how quick it is. So medium peaks, I put it up. I'm gonna have to show you on. So pop that out, and we are all done with that. All right, so with my spatula, I'm gonna just check and make sure I got all that mixed in. Look at that, that is beautiful, beautifully whipped cream. So now, move all these out the way. Now, my pudding should be nice and set up. Let's show you how set up my pudding is. So see how thick it got? So I'm gonna take my whipped cream, and I'm gonna fold half of this whipped cream into my pudding mixture. Just gonna take half of it, and we're just gonna fold that in. I'm telling you, this comes together so quick and easy. And folding the whipped cream into your pudding is gonna make it feel like airy and really light, like it's actually healthy for us. I don't know how healthy it is, but it's gonna feel like it's healthy when you're eating it. So folding it in, I'm gonna fold it till I don't see any more white streaks in there and all the pudding is nice and mixed in. So it's one consistent batter or pudding mixture. All right. I'm gonna add just a little bit more whipped cream because I don't think I put just quite half of that in there yet. In there. And now I'm gonna save the rest of this whipped cream for later and it's gonna top it once we're finished. So adding my last little bit of my whipped cream to my pudding mixture. And then we're gonna build it, just that simple. It's already ready to build our pudding. There it is, all nice and put together. So I'm gonna put that to the side and you're gonna get a really nice, pretty dish. You can use glass or you can use foil if you're taking it to the cookout. Now, I have just regular vanilla wafers. I'm gonna line the bottom of my dish with my wafers. So, and this doesn't have to be neat, doesn't have to be all pretty or uniform because it's gonna get covered up with a whole bunch of bananas and a whole bunch of pudding anyway. So if you wanna fill in your little gaps or your little spots, you can kind of just put however many layers of wafers that you want. Now, we're gonna need about 3 to 4 about medium to large bananas. And just so we don't have to dirty up a cutting board, we're gonna cut the bananas right in the peel. So I'm gonna grab my paring knife and I'm just going to cut just a right slit until I get right through the peel itself. And then I'm just gonna open up one side of it. And then I'm just gonna slice it right here, right in the peel. So I'm doing about a 1/4 inch slice. So decently thick, but not too thick. But if you want your bananas thin, you can also make them thin and slice them thin. But I like my bananas to be a decently thick slice of banana there. So like I was saying before, this is my go-to dessert for that last minute cookout that you've just been invited to. And it's like, oh, bring something sweet. I always like bring something sweet because it's easy for me to make something quick and sweet. So once these bananas are sliced, I'm just gonna lay them, do a layer of bananas right on top of my wafers, my vanilla wafers. Ooh. And again, doesn't have to be all pretty and neat and even. Just throw them right in there. As it sits, it's gonna kind of all meld together. So, and with the bananas, I'm using about 3. So we're gonna do a layer of wafers, layer of bananas, and then a layer of pudding, and then another layer of wafers, a layer of bananas, and then the final layer of pudding. So depending on how much banana you like it, is how many bananas that you can add. So I like mine banana-y, but not too banana-y, so I'm only gonna do 1.5 banana per layer. So I'm gonna go ahead and slice this one, and then I'm only gonna put half of this banana to finish off this layer. And then I'm gonna put my layer of pudding. All right, so got this half of this banana in here. Now I'm ready to add my layer of pudding. So just real easy, half of my pudding. And then you can eye this, just gonna spread this layer out. And it's gonna look real pretty in this glass bowl because you're gonna be able to see all the layers that's in here. All right, so spread out. And this is an 8x8 glass bowl for this amount. You can always, if you're doing a bigger function, you can always double. Your amount here and make a bigger size. So now I'm gonna put more vanilla wafers. on this layer, and then I'm gonna add another layer of bananas on top of that. And again, doesn't have to be all neat and pretty. It's gonna look really cool through the glass here. So that is that layer, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add my other banana and a half, all sliced up, to this layer. Now, I slice my bananas as I go because bananas, as the oxygen hits it, they start to oxidize and they start turning brown. So you want to move pretty fast. You don't want to pre-cut your bananas, which is why I'm slicing them in the peel, because that peel protects it from going brown on you. Now, it doesn't taste any different when it's brown. It just doesn't look as pretty. So that being said, we're not going to use bananas on top of it to like decorate it. We're just going to use more cookies on top with the whipped cream, because brown bananas, by the time you get it to your cookout, does not look pretty. They'll be all mushy and oxidized. Oops, lost a little bit of bananas there. All right, and almost finished this one. And got all that done. So we're gonna spread out this layer. Now, you could also use banana flavored pudding, but I don't really like the flavor of a banana flavored pudding, because to me it tastes like artificial banana, when I can just, the bananas as it sits in this pudding in the refrigerator to set up, the banana flavor is just gonna permeate itself through the pudding. So I just like having that natural banana flavoring in there for that. All right, so that's my second layer of bananas. Now I'm just gonna put the rest of my pudding right on top of that layer. And all that there. All right, then we're just gonna spread out this till it's covering every bit of the bananas and the wafers. Perfect. You may see some of the banana through there, but it's gonna be nice and covered and it won't turn brown on you because it's got a layer of the pudding on top of it. Even if it's just a little layer, it'll keep them all nice and perfect. So get every bit of that all spread out. All right, so now I am just gonna add a few of the wafers just on the side. So let's look at it. Look at that. See how you can nicely see some of the layers? I'm just gonna kind of spoof it up a little bit. Let me move this out the way so y'all can see that. With some extra wafers. So just right around the outside, I'm just gonna push some of the wafers in just to make it look a little more fancier and a little more prettier. More prettier. All right, just about finished with the gussying up or prettying up of it. And I'm gonna put my last vanilla wafer in. So this is gonna sit for about an hour or two in the refrigerator. What's gonna happen while it's sitting is that the banana flavor is just gonna permeate throughout the pudding, and the wafers are gonna start to soften up a little bit so it gets nice and soft, so when you go to spoon it out. When it comes out of the refrigerator in about 2 hours, we're gonna take our remaining whipped cream and then we're gonna pipe some beautiful little stars or rosettes on top of it and then sprinkle some more wafers on top for garnish. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the refrigerator, and then when it comes back out, I'll show you how to decorate it. All right, look at that. That is beautiful already. All right, welcome back. So we have our banana pudding, our quick and easy banana pudding that has been sitting in the refrigerator for about 2 hours. And now we're ready to go ahead and top it with our whipped topping. So I have the rest of our whipped cream that was left in a bag, and I put a star tip on it. If you don't have a star tip, you can just put it into a regular bag or a Ziploc bag, put it in and just cut the tip off, and you just do a smooth kind of piping on it. So I have a star tip, so we're gonna go ahead and use a star tip. So I'm just going to, right around the edges, just put just a little swirlies, call those little rosettes, right around the edges. So just a little swirl. I'm gonna go all the way around the edges. Then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna put a real big one right in the middle of it. So right in the middle, I'm just gonna do a really big one. It's like that. Now, I have crushed up some of my vanilla wafers, and I'm just gonna sprinkle this all over the top of it, around it, just to add a little wow factor when people see it. Sprinkle and sprinkle. Yeah, if you want to take it up another level or another notch, you can add more whole vanilla wafers right into your top of your whipped cream. Or what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna add a nice pretty one right there in the middle, sprinkle a little bit more on top, and then that's all I'm gonna do for this. And look how pretty that is. Very gorgeous. Pretty, pretty, pretty. And that is it. That is our easy banana pudding, ready for our last minute cookout. Nice, cool, I'm ready to go. Thank you for joining me. I'm Chef Johanna Hamlin of Impressional Sweets, and it's been fun sharing my easy banana pudding recipe with you. Hi, I'm Chef Johanna Hamlin, back again. You've seen my quick and easy banana pudding. Now, if you have a little more time on your hands, join me as I make my traditional Southern style banana pudding. It's made with a from scratch pudding recipe. So earlier, I showed you how to make a real quick, simple and easy banana pudding. Now I'm gonna show you how to make a more Southern style classic banana pudding. So we're gonna actually make that pudding from scratch. We're still gonna use our bananas and our vanilla wafers, but we're gonna make our pudding from scratch. So this is gonna be a more rich, deluxe pudding. So I'm gonna show you how to put everything together. So let me get everything set up. All right, so for our pudding is pretty much a custard that is thickened with either flour or cornstarch. When we thicken it with cornstarch, they call it more of a pastry cream. So pastry cream and pudding are very similar, except for pudding's thickened with flour, pastry cream is thickened with cornstarch. So in our bowl, I'm gonna add my sugar and my flour. And then we're gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, kind of stuck in there, just to help bring everything together and bring out all the sweetness. I'm gonna whisk this together. Then I have 8 egg yolks, which is gonna help with our thickening process. So I'm gonna add my egg yolks to my sugar, flour, and salt mixture. I'm gonna whisk this together. Now, if this gets like really thick and you just can't mix it together, sometimes it will just get too pasty to mix. Then we're gonna take some of our milk that we're gonna boil later, and we're just gonna add enough of this to make this into like a smooth paste. So it's about a 1/2 cup of milk that's gonna get added to our egg yolk, flour, and sugar salt mixture. So just like that. That is nice. So now we're just gonna whisk this until it's nice and smooth. And sometimes we get a little bit of the mixture that gets stuck in our whisk. We're just gonna pull that right out there. Push it, and then we're gonna mix this back in until it's a nice, smooth mixture. So all of our lumps are out. There's no lumps of flour. There's no unmixed in sugar. And we're just gonna set that aside. Now we're gonna bring over my burner here. So we're going to bring to a boil, like a little slightly under a boil, 3 cups of milk, minus the half a cup of milk that we put in with our egg yolk mixture there. And I'm gonna add a cup of heavy cream. So heavy cream is just gonna make this that much more smoother and that much more richer. But if you don't want to add the heavy cream, you can just do 4 cups of milk in here. So we're gonna bring this to a boil. So we don't want it quite a rolling boil, just right, I call it a scald is what they call it. Scald is just right before it starts to boil. You'll just see little bubbles start to hit the surface, and that's what we're gonna bring it to. But I'll have my egg yolk and sugar mixture right here ready to go. So once it comes to our scald, or just before it boils, we're gonna take a few scoops of our warm milk and cream mixture, and we're gonna temper it into our yolk mixture. And we do this just so that it doesn't cook our egg yolks, and it brings it up to just a good enough temperature to be able to put it back into the pot, that it won't cook any of our egg yolks or anything. My milk is just what we call scalded, so it's right before it boils, and you can see just a little ripple going on right on top of the surface. So I'm going to turn this down, and I'm going to ladle, it's about 2-ounce ladle right into my egg yolk mixture. And this is just, like I said, to temper it and to bring it right up to just about the temperature of the milk in the pot, so that I don't scramble my egg yolks when they go into the pot. Just about. And that warmed them right up. So with my flame here on about a medium low, I'm going to add this mixture into my milk mixture. So now we're going to be constantly stirring our pot here to make our pudding. So your pudding or pastry cream will not start to thicken until it boils. So we're actually going to have to bring it back up to a boil, and then it'll start to thicken. But we want to make sure that we keep stirring it so that it doesn't burn on the bottom. So I'm going to switch and use my whisk. So I just want to not bother it a whole lot, but I kind of want to let it sit, let it start to boil, and then come back and stir it. But I definitely don't want to walk away from it, because if you walk away from it, you're going to burn the bottom of it. And because we're thickening our pudding with flour, it's going to take a little longer for it to thicken. So we're going to watch it for about 5 to 10 minutes. And we definitely want it to boil, because we want to boil out all that starchy kind of flour taste to it. If you underboil, you'll definitely taste that in it. So I have some boiling action going on, and you can see that it's starting to thicken around the edges. So I'm going to stir to get what's on the outside thicken up into the middle. I'm going to turn my flame down just a little bit, just so that it can. So we're gonna keep stirring until it thickens. It gets really nice and thick, and we're almost there. Sorry for all the scraping noise. So, getting nice and thick, I'm gonna go ahead and turn my flame all the way off. And let it continue to thicken. Because it's gonna continue to cook as your flame off. As you can see, we got a nice boil under there. The flame is going off. All right, so that is our pudding. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go ahead and strain off my pudding just in case I have any lumps or thickening parts of the yolk that just didn't get all nice and smooth and creamy. So if I wasn't whisking enough, I'm gonna go ahead and strain that out. And then when I come back, I'm gonna add my butter and my vanilla just to give it a nice vanilla taste. All right, so I have my strainer set up, and I'm just gonna go ahead and strain out the pudding. And I'm just gonna push this right through the strainer here. And this just helps ensure that I have a nice smooth pudding, so it's a nice smooth mouthfeel. And in case you just get a little lumps of your egg yolk in there, this will take that right on out, so it'll help fix all that. So I'm just using a rubber spatula to push through the strainer. And I have a nice smooth pudding coming out the bottom of it. A little bit in here. Push that last little bit through. And the rest of the stuff in here, we have a decent enough amount. So after I push this last little bit through, we have a decent enough amount in here. So we're just gonna go ahead and discard what's in here. And I'm gonna clean off the bottom. See it? Now, while the pudding is still warm, we're gonna go ahead and add our butter and our vanilla. So butter is optional. Again, I put it in there because it just adds that creamier, smoother mouthfeel that you're looking for a nice pudding. And then the vanilla, of course, adds our flavor to it. And then we'll just stir this in. And we're gonna keep stirring until the butter completely is mixed in and it melts. But that is our nice, smooth, creamy pudding. Ah, it smells like pudding. So everything's mixed in. We are gonna set this to the side. I'm only gonna let it cool slightly, but I'm gonna start working on putting my vanilla wafers and my banana in my serving dish, so we're ready to go. Stir that last little bit of vanilla that I added in there. Can't let it go to waste. The vanilla is expensive. All right, I have lined the bottom of my dish, my serving dish I'm gonna serve it with my wafers. And I cut the bananas in this one just like I sliced the bananas in the last one for the easy, just right in the peel so that it makes it for a quick and easy cleanup. I just throw the peel away instead of having to pull out a cutting board. Again, I'm gonna use about 3 bananas, but if you like it more banana-y, you can always add more bananas if you want, but this minimal bananas for my family is how they like it. So for each layer, I'm gonna do about a banana and a half. And then I only let my pudding cool slightly. So for this traditional one, we build this right when everything's warm. So when the pudding is still warm, the bananas are room temperature, and I'm gonna go ahead and put about half of the warm pudding right over the bananas. So big difference between this and the easy one is that I did not fold any whipped cream in this one, which kind of makes it more light, and like I said, like it appears to be just a little bit more healthy. You can fold whipped cream in this one if you want to, but you're gonna have to wait till your pastry cream or your pudding cools down completely. For a more traditional form of banana pudding, this is how they do it. They do it without the extra folded in whipped cream. So I'll put another layer of my vanilla wafers. And again, don't have to be neat. Nobody's visually looking at this layer. It's all gonna be mixed in when you go to spoon it out into your desserts. And then my next layer of my bananas. So again, it's about a banana and a half. My banana hands are getting all sticky. But what is cooking or baking without getting a little messy, right? Right, so now we're gonna put my last layer of my warm pudding right over top. And it's gonna be the remainder of it. Just gonna help spread that out. So we're gonna make sure, oh, my banana tried to pop out a little bit there. So make sure that all your bananas are covered, because again, if you don't cover them, they're gonna start to get brown and start to oxidize on us. So just making sure all my bananas are covered with the pudding. is a very good start to our traditional banana pudding, or Southern style banana pudding, as I like to call it. Now, from here, there's two options you can do. You can, more traditional, they'll cover it with a meringue. So I'll take some egg whites, I'll throw in some sugar, and I'll beat it till it gets nice and fluffy. I'll top it with meringue, and then I'll bake it in the oven. My family doesn't so much like the meringue, they like whipped cream. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some of my wafers right on top of this, and then I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator and let it cool, and then I'm gonna come back and top it with whipped cream to be served. But this sprinkling on top is gonna let this our wafers kind of soften up a little bit. And then I'm gonna pop mine in the refrigerator. But if you choose to make a meringue to go on top and you bake it in the oven just so the meringue can get browned just like a lemon meringue pie, you would go ahead and serve that warm. So this could be served warm just like this, or you can pop it in the refrigerator like I'm gonna do, let it cool down, top of whipped cream, and serve it that way. So thank you for watching me make my Southern style banana pudding. I'm gonna go ahead, pop this in the refrigerator, and then when I come back, you'll see it all. So for this beginning, okay, my traditional Southern style banana pudding has been cooling in the refrigerator. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add my whipped cream topping. And I'm just gonna do very similar like I did with the easy banana pudding, and just do right around the edges, just some little swirls. And for this one, just to distinguish the difference between the traditional and my quick one, I am not gonna put any more of crumbles on it. I'm just gonna leave it crumbleless. Oh, and I got just enough whipped cream to make it. All right, again, this is my traditional Southern style banana pudding that is made from a from scratch pudding and bananas. So try the easy, or if you have a little more time on your hand, you can try the traditional, but either way you go, you're not gonna be disappointed. Both of them are delicious.